pressure
we
point.
didn't give him the joy of saying that he negotiated the ceasefire. Is it that personal?
It could be. It could be. It could be.
Huh.
Also, I would say he was probably worried that the Pakistani whole episode which we had with them in May kind of disrupted his plans and didn't fit into his agenda for the world. And it was like a distraction, unnecessary distraction for him. So it could be that. It could be the personal angle. Because the difference between what he said personally, not his administration, and what the Indian government, the joint secretary said from the Indian side. And
Randhir sir, please watch.
and, and of late, of course, the Prime Minister himself told President Putin directly in June from Canada, was actually quite evident, the difference of approaches. So I think all of that has contributed. But
and he's bringing that hyphenation back, India-Pakistan hyphenation.
Yeah.
Dragging it 15 years back, which had been dumped.
Yeah.
He's dragging that back and doing it.
So I think the people who are very uncomfortable with all of this is happening are the American strategic experts and the American strategic community itself.
Yeah.
People who watch the relationship grow in the last 2 decades are really upset that, here is the situation where you're unraveling what was built with a lot of difficulty. And I don't see actually how it's going to help America meet its interests in the region, meet its interests globally. Yes, I mean, we have this playbook in the past of major powers, all three, America, Russia, China, using Pakistan as a stick to beat India. And in different periods of time, each of them has used this. The state of Pakistan and the military. Whenever India has either fallen off the line or is misbehaving or is being too big for its boots or is not fitting in, then, they use Pakistan.
So there's a charter they put forward to us that you got to walk this line. If you don't, then we use Pakistan. That's it?
Something like that.
Something to that.
Something like that. It's a very convenient. So each of them, if you study the American, Pakistan, Russia, Pakistan and China, Pakistan, they all have their different methodologies. But the fact is that it's a very convenient and a ready entity to use against India. And
the most uncomfortable thing is to see literally America. I use the word, I don't want to use the word, but I'm using it, literally cluster bombing India right now. One is via tariffs. Two is the daily press briefing where he says something or the other, Donald Trump. Then comes in Asim Munir threatening a nuclear holocaust, and that too from American soil. Not an easy thing for India to ignore, because last time he did that, within a couple of weeks, we had Pahalgam happening. So that is number 3. Number 4 is what we thought was Quad working, and now we have Japan inviting Shehbaz Sharif to come. After 21 or 25 years asking Pakistan to come in. Fine, I mean, that is what Japan wants to do. But what is what is Japan's interest in Pakistan? Where? It doesn't fit in at all in any sphere. These kind of things which are happening, and forget about China, that I set aside. But it looks like America, and then the 5th element which I want to bring in is media. You're seeing increasingly Western media writing about India being obdurate and random things, just the other day I saw an article which says that Elon Musk is in court with India regarding social media and things like that. You read the fine print, it's a 2023 situation. But just bringing it up again with no new information. The new information is we tried to contact Ministry of Information Broadcasting, Ministry of External Affairs, Ministry of Department of Telecom. Nobody wanted to talk to us. That is the only new information in that. But Western media subtly impacting, because if you want to read the whole article, you have to be a subscriber. Otherwise, there's a firewall. So most people can only read the headline and the first paragraph. I'm just trying to say how subtly this thing is working, the Western media pressure too.
Yeah, but
so 5 things which I've told you.
that's a hell of a lot. Let me start with the last on the media. I can tell you from my personal experience, the amount of interest I have seen among the Western media and Western strategic analysts on what is going on between India and the United States, I have not seen in the past. I mean, and the lesson for me there is that they're interested not to derive pleasure from what is happening, but they seem to be really worried about what's going on in the India-US relationship. And I'm talking about mainstream Western media and strategic analysts. The amount of queries or people coming to us asking us what's going on, can you explain, how bad is it going to get, what is India going to do, is India going to pivot to Russia? They are really worried. So somewhat contrary to what you're saying. So yes, what you're saying is true. There may be elements in the media.
Some well-meaning, I grant you that.
But there is a concern that are we losing India? So let's look at it from that point of view also, not just our point of view. Because there was a lot of investment in India. And people are actually worried that is the United States losing India? And that's a big deal for the US, for America, especially at a time when you yourself are in competition for global influence and authority with other competing powers. So it would stand to logic that you want to accumulate friends, not divest friends. So that is one thing which we should keep in mind, that there is a worry that are we going to lose India?
Okay.
So we should understand that we are not a nobody. And it's not as if we have no cards to play, to use the famous phrase of Donald Trump. That's the first. On the second, yes, on the Pakistan factor, I think what he has done is he has succeeded in bringing Pakistan back into the India-US equation, something which we had parked aside and we had discarded, and we were moving quite fast ahead on the bilateral. And in fact, if there was any country which had come into the equation, it was China, not Pakistan. So in a sense, we have gone back to the past. But that's a good thing because we have a lot of experience from the past. That if we have to open our dusty files and see how India handled US, India, Pakistan triangle, then we have a lot to take away. We have a lot of lessons, we have a lot of experience, and we have a lot of lessons learned from how to do it. And I think we will be able to do it better this time. So we've been through it. We've been through a US-Pakistan nexus, an alliance, a relationship. We've lived through all that. We've lived through the nuclear, the aircrafts, the military, the Afghanistan period, and everything else.
So why slide down back again to that period?
That's a question which we have to ask him. Now, why, either
he's pulling us back, and both the countries, pulling us back to that quagmire again.
Well, but let us see how much this sustains over we are looking at it in the last 2 months, right? Last 2-3 months. Let us see how much this sustains in the coming months. Is it a structural shift? Is it a tactical shift? If tomorrow we do something which brings us back into his good books, will he dump Pakistan? That's the real issue. But yes, the Munir Trump and the Munir US relationship today is a real thing, and it is something which we have to be very quick in understanding, not pretend it is not happening, not be in denial, and kind of find our responses to it.
He's found. I want to also talk about Japan, but before I talk about Quad, I want to concentrate still on the Pakistan angle. So you've been in the national security apparatus too. How do you see this latest thing about designating the Majid Brigade as designating them, the BLA, and its ally, which is this Majid Brigade, as an FTO, foreign terrorist organization? Because just a couple of weeks back, we saw the resistance front being given that designation, and now this happens. So it's a continuation of that hyphenation, or is there a larger interest that the Americans have in Balochistan now?
Well, I think it's difficult to say. I mean, the Baluch issue, the BLA has been a terrorist organization of some sort for
Yeah.
many, many years. So obviously, this is part and parcel of it's a further cementing of the US-Pakistan strategic relationship and strategic understanding. So from that point of view, it is significant. And, we have to see it from that point of view. I mean, the TRF is something which we have spoken about in the Security Council last year. The Americans designated it. But it doesn't matter. That is not the real issue.
Because BLA had been proscribed earlier.
Yeah, earlier.
It is the Majid
Correct,
Brigade
correct,
now.
correct.
But they want, there's that TAPI line which they have been
TAPI is
wanting.
dead.
Do you think they want to revive that?
No. I mean, you can only have TAP. You can't have I. I mean, you can't have a TAPI without
Yeah.
the I.
Yeah.
And as far as Balochistan is concerned, whether you designate A, B or C, it doesn't matter. The reality of Balochistan is, and you've spoken to a lot of our own experts,
Yeah.
I know, on Balochistan,
Yeah.
is known to everyone. Balochistan is out of control. And it's not because of their Islamic identity. It's because of their tribal identity. For centuries and decades, it's been out of control.
So it's been out of control. Pakistan cannot control that area. Now, they thought the CPEC and stuff like that will work out. CPEC is almost dead on arrival, or it's not functioning to the capacity that either China envisaged or Pakistan wanted. So now is Pakistan wanting to get America involved in Balochistan so that they can bring Balochistan under control, and Americans can then pilfer out there the resources.
This sounds too good to be true.
Too good, I know.
It
but
sounds
countries are ambitious, right?
No, it sounds like a fairy tale. Best luck, all good luck to the Pakistanis and to the Americans if this, succeeds. I mean, that's great. I mean, if you can have a joint US-China CPEC corridor passing through Balochistan and brings peace and harmony and prosperity to Balochistan, I don't think it will happen in my lifetime, but let them try. I mean, they've tried so much in the past. They bet so much on Pakistan. And every time it's led to a dump truck, to use another common phrase. So, these things are not happening. I mean, everyone invests and believes that they have kind of found the secret key to Pakistan or to Pakistan's prosperity. It doesn't happen. Pakistan also believes that, it is God's gift, and it has pursued this strategy of terror against us for 3 or 4 decades. Believing that it's a matter of time before India falls, collapses, disintegrates, etc. But, facts speak for themselves. I mean, Indian strategists are very fond of, flaying their chests that our narrative was wrong. I say, what's wrong with our narrative? The narrative speaks for itself. The narrative is the reality. What is the Pakistani reality and what is the Indian reality? We've absorbed those 1,000 cuts, and where we are today. Pakistan is in the midst of several crises. Now, if it believes that countries like America or China can bail it out, it's a repetition of the past. So we are actually just repeating the past playbook. And they have tried every trick in the book. But until and unless Pakistan is honest and introspects about its own internal problems, its own internal governance, quality of governance, institutions, and everything else, you cannot buy or you cannot import stability and prosperity. And India has done it the harder way. We were under US. Why? Because we were under US sanctions, Western sanctions. We had a certain kind of self-belief. We invested in institutions. We are not perfect, but we are still better off than what Pakistan managed to do.
I'm going to ask you this question, which I've asked others in the podcast too. Does Pakistan read Washington, D.C. better than India reads Washington, D.C.?
Well, in this case, it's possible. It's possible that Pakistan had got lucky I mean, they just simply got lucky.
Geographical location. Is that their luck?
That is like a long term. That is a structural. But whether in the last 6-7 months,
Okay.
they managed to weave their way into the inner circle of Trump, which we could not.
And they were apprehensive of a second Trump
They were extremely
term, and Indians were jubilant about
But
a second
remember,
Trump.
again, they actually had not forgotten the kind of relationship they had with the Trump administration in the first term. They were the ones who delivered the Taliban to Trump.
Yeah, Imran Khan.
Yeah, but Imran Khan was the face, but it was the ISI and the military who handed it over to the Trump people. So neither has the ISI forgotten it, nor have the Trump obviously forgotten it. They gave him that victory. They allowed him to exit.
Okay.
The actual exit was a mess. That was Biden.
Sure.
But the decision to say, I'll hand them over to you, and Trump is not forgotten. And the ISI, and at that time, the military and the ISI, obviously earned a huge IOU from the Pakistani intelligence agencies and the American intelligence agencies and the American military, because you actually helped that to happen. So if you build upon all of that in this term, so there is a good history. There is a sweet spot they had in the first term. They built upon it, and they've been very quick to move
How does
ahead.
China react in the sense that watching Asim Munir going to DC twice in the past couple of weeks? I mean, they've just had Operation Sindoor, they've had their aircraft being used, they've had their radars being used by Pakistan, and you're my pup and you're going there. How does that happen?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I ask myself all the time, what would Beijing be thinking? I mean, frankly, President Xi didn't host Munir for a lunch, right? He should have hosted him for a lunch. So that's a great question. And I think it'll play out in the next few months. And part of it we will see in how they approach the India relationship. Because if they feel that they are being taken for a ride, or that Pakistan is double timing, or that the moment Pakistan got an opening in America, you ditch your old trusted all-weather friends and hunt in greener pastures, then the Chinese will also, there will be a section in China which might want to teach Pakistan a lesson, saying that, you can't have it both ways. This is not the 70s anymore. I don't need you to mediate between me and the Americans, because those days are gone. I needed you in 72. I don't need you today. So your utility to me on the US-China relationship is basically zero. I don't need you. Yes, I need you for my India policy. So there will be conflicting views within Beijing on how to respond to Pakistan's open courting of the Americans and vice versa. And they're like saying, what's going on? I mean, my poodle is running around. I mean, I had this leash around him, and, he's hunting all over the place. So that's one view, that Beijing, there will be a view in Beijing. But there'll be another view in Beijing, which is more the traditional orthodox hardline, saying, look, let them do it, but it's a critical part of my containment policy for India. So I have to keep Pakistan in check, engaged, in play, and let me give a little freedom to them to move around and dance around in Washington. So I would say there are these different views. As you know, in every capital, major world capital, you don't have monochromatic views. There are multiple.
But in Beijing, there is, no?
I don't think so. Not at all. Not at all. I mean, it's a very sophisticated. At the end of the day, of course, there will be uniformity, but there will be, even in India, there are different views. I mean, there are people who think that, there was a time till, let's say, a couple of years ago when
they were fixated on Dalai Lama and fixated on these issues.
Yeah, fixated on that. Yes, but there was also a view in Beijing that the big question in Beijing which had to ask itself was, have we lost India? Has it shifted, irrevocably towards the United States? Or is India still in play? Can we still bring it back? These two strands were always struggling with each other. At one point, the former prevailed, that India is a lost cause. And you can forget about it. It's a US ally. It's not even an ally. It's a US lackey. So we have to deal with it through the US lens, because India has lost its independent agency. But there was another view of a certain section which said, no, you're misreading India. They still have. And so when we took the position we did in Ukraine in 2022, the latter view suddenly got revived and said, see, look, the Indians have actually taken a view or a position which is not what the Americans wanted. So India did show independent agency. So I think there is even within Beijing. So that's the beauty of Indian foreign policy, that, you keep everyone guessing.
Yeah, me too. But let me come to this point which, in case Alaska doesn't fructify, because we're going to be airing this on 14, so we really don't know. In case Alaska summit doesn't fructify, or if the summit happens but it's not end of the war, in such a situation, Putin coming to India and PM going for Shanghai, will that invite more tariffs?
Look, they're two totally different things. Our relationship with Russia and relationship with China. The Putin coming to India, I don't think so. Actually, I really don't think so, because I'm pretty sure that we will have a Xi-Trump summit before the end of the year, and so unless there is a complete failure of Alaska, which frankly I would be very surprised if, my bet would continue to be on a success. Of course, I could be wrong, but that's whatever little I can understand.
And he just said yesterday, he said, I'm going to Russia 3 times, he said, when he actually meant Alaska.
Yeah.
I feel like, how do we decipher what he's saying? Yeah. Okay.
So yes, let us look at a scenario where Alaska doesn't succeed, right?
Okay.
Now, even there, I would like to disaggregate, because then the reactions are different. Now, if it ends in a failure, I mean, if it ends in decision to meet again, or if it ends in an interim kind of a 2-stage kind of process, there are so many possibilities. It's difficult to put a finger on it. But what I can see is that they are actually moving fairly fast, despite all the confusion that we are seeing towards something. Remember, the Americans are speaking as we speak to the Europeans. Zelensky obviously sees that something's going to happen. He's nervous, very nervous. But regardless of what happens in Alaska, the Prime Minister's visit to China will happen. And I think regardless of what happens in Alaska, an India-Russia summit will happen. Now, if tariffs are going to be imposed on India, tariffs will not be, the whole irony of the whole thing is the tariffs are not going to be imposed on us because we're talking to China, which is our number one strategic threat and challenge. The tariffs are going to be imposed on us because we talk to Russia, which is a friend, but it's their enemy. And so it's
and also on agri products and all that which he wants, or is that a sideshow?
No, then nothing can prevent him from imposing further tariffs. But if he feels that we are poking him in the eye, or we are holding a summit with Russia deliberately with an eye on him or America or the West, I can understand that he may get further enraged. But everything which we are telling him is that this is not the case. This is an annual event which has not happened since 21. He'll be coming, if he does, since after the first time after 21 to India. And if you're talking to him, I mean, in the last 7 months, your people have had more meetings with Putin than we've had. We've had maybe, 2-3 meetings. You had like 10 meetings with him. So why can't I? And I have
But America's never negotiated and never dealt with the other country as an equal. So for us to say that tum bhi karte ho to hum kare to kya hai?
No, but we are also
work with them, right?
No, but we are also telling him that we are not dealing with Russia to be a spoiler in your scheme or in your approach to draw down the war. We are not here inflaming the war. That's what we've been saying to the whole world in the last 3 years, that we are not in that business. In fact, the people who are inflaming the war are, one could argue, is the Europeans and maybe the Chinese. But India has never been a part of this of this whole view that the war should continue.
So, one question on Quad, and then I'll move to the neighborhood. Now that you're here, I'm going to ask you everything.
It's a tough question. It's a tough examination.
Tough examination. Syllabus se aage. So, on the Quad, do you think the summit will happen, and why is that under threat now? Suppose.
My answer to that is, what is Quad? I never heard of it. I mean, so
was it an what should I say, unnatural unit that formed?
Well, it waxed and waned. I mean, it began with great fanfare in 2004, and then it died, and then it revived somewhat in 2007. Again, it died, and it revived under Trump in 2021, I think, or some in this first term, and then Biden picked it up and ran with it. So it's had a history, and like any organization, it's kind of it's been a function of the overall geopolitical situation. It's also been a function of personalities. Shinzo Abe was wedded to it. His predecessors were not. The Australians, prime ministers, were wedded to it, but it was also the Australians who were the first ones to withdraw from it. So I think, of course, look, we shouldn't over dramatize these groupings. They have a purpose, and they have a function, and they have a utility.
Like BRICS.
Yeah, I mean,
utility for some extent. Jab suit kiya karo, nahi to put it aside.
But BRICS' record is much better than Quad. I mean, you had a summit every year since 2009. We are in 25. You had 16 summits in 16 years. Unmatched record. Despite everything people say about how the dysfunctionality of BRICS, Quad is supposed to be homogeneous. Democracies, same region, this, that and the other. So now, Quad clearly, I mean, let's not pretend, is basically will survive and flourish till as long as the Americans have a stake and support and believe in the Quad. A Quad minus America, which basically Japan, Australia, India. We are in any case doing what we have to with Japan and with Australia. We have excellent bilateral defense security ties with them. Now, there was a time when we needed the Quad because we had our border clashes with China. There was a understanding among all Quad members that if you had to face the China challenge of the next coming decades, none of us can do it alone. You need to work together. Now, if in the wisdom of President Trump, he thinks there are different instruments he has to deal with the China challenge, and Quad is not one of them, or is a very subsidiary element, then naturally the momentum or the ballast for Quad will reduce.
So now we put Quad in the back burner. We bring in Shanghai Cooperation in front, and we bring NAM in front, which had been put in the back burner earlier. Is that it? Is that our dynamics now?
No, you're talking about India. I was talking
India.
about America.
I'm talking about India.
No, so India will. I mean,
the global South, not NAM. We should use the new terminology.
No, so I think India will continue to go through the processes of inviting people for the Quad Summit. It's a different matter who comes, but it is India's turn.
But if DJT goes first to Pakistan, first to Islamabad, and then comes for Quad in India, no thank you.
Look, I think
we can't stop him.
Let us be adults and be prepared for anything and everything, because there are some things which are in your control, some things which are not in your control. And if we have to live in this kind of a topsy-turvy world, just get your act together and don't outsource and seek validation or outsource your security to Washington or London or to Moscow or to anyone. Just, keep your eye on the ball and focus on it. If it is your turn to host Quad, be a good host, invite everyone. If they don't come, that's their problem.
Yeah.
So then you decide whether you want to go ahead with the summit or defer it to next year. We'll come to that when we come. But as of today, I know that India is supposed to host. It is India's turn. After all, we've had 2-3 meetings with the foreign ministers under the Trump administration. We'll see. I mean, if he wants to go via Pakistan, obviously he knows what he's doing. And obviously his people, he may not know, his people will know what impact it's going to have on the India-US relationship.
What was the last presidential I think Clinton, right?
Bill Clinton.
And that also was not an official visit. He just stopped over in the airport and
a few hours
addressed the people of the country from
a few hours.
Yeah.
A few
After that,
hours.
there's been no US presidential visit.
So, if the American...
That itself is for him, oh, really? I'll be the first one? Just like he did North Korea?
Yeah.
He'd probably do that.
But you know, he can go. I mean, he can go
That's
once,
his problem.
twice, thrice.
Yeah.
It's not going to change the destiny of Pakistan, right?
Oh.
I mean, if...
Will it? I don't know. You think it won't?
Look, there's something called having strong fundamentals, and there is something called having a dysfunctionality which is structural and which cannot be fixed by any, even the most magnanimous American president. After all, I mean, they had the hand of Richard Nixon and subsequent US presidents. I mean, what happened to that country? I mean, you know and I know what happened to it. If the benevolence of the Americans was the key,
Good luck.
or the generosity, you don't like them.
No, benevolence of the Americans, good luck to them.
Or the
then.
generosity of the Chinese, BRI and so on. If these were the secrets to success, Pakistan today should have been a much better and a much bigger economy than India's. We are the guys who are pushing along, chugging along, making our way through adversity, focusing on what we have to do. And we are there where we are through hard work, not through the goodwill or the or of anyone else. I mean, we've earned where we are today.
Namaste, Jai Hind. You're watching ANI podcast with Smita Prakash.
अगर हम उसको मस्जिद कहेंगे तो फिर विवाद होगा।
The issue is टूटा है क्या भारत?
400 पार का मतलब ये है कि संविधान खतरे में है।
क्या हम लोग ये निर्देश देते हैं कि फला को गिरफ्तार करके जेल डाल दो?
वही तो कह रहे हैं सब।
ये बेबुनियाद निराधार आरोप।
सच्चा सुनना चाहो देखो स्मिता प्रकाश ANI, it does not lie.